Basketball One-on-One with Yourself podcast, presented by Mental Performance Coach Nico Bourgade.
Welcome to the Mind Game of Basketball One-on-One with Yourself podcast. And today we're very happy to welcome with us Nicola Akele, all the way from Italia. Nicola, benvenuto.
Hi, ciao. Hi, Nico. Thank you for having me. And I'm excited for this conversation we're going to have.
All right. So, Nicola, I asked you, we connected through LinkedIn. Now we have beautiful platforms to be able to connect easily. And I reached out to you, and one thing or another, you explained to me how you were actually working with someone already on your mental game. And so that's why I'm happy to have you here, because we're going to discuss, your experience as a basketball player, eventually why you started working with someone, the benefits, the struggles, the eventually perspective that you had about it before, and where you are right now. Okay, so for the ones who don't know, Nicola, former Italian champion, both from the Cup with Brescia and 2 years ago with Virtus with the league. So a winner as well. Also a member of the Italian national team. So right now about to prepare for the FIBA window as well. And now new coming player with Olimpia Milano in the EuroLeague as well. So great for us to have you and to be able to see what built you, what made you who you are today, and all those things. Okay, and like I said, pre-recording, we're not here to get anything that's not that's too personal or anything, but it's just about what you want to give us about the player that you are today. All right, what can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
I mean, you want me to stay from the beginning, or like
anything you want to say? Like you can start from early ages, but go through being a young player to becoming a professional. You can go deeper into what you want to give us, and if you want to just overlook some other parts, that's fine as well.
Okay, I'm gonna try to give you my whole background so you understand what type of person I am. So, I started to play basketball since I was 6 years old, and I was 5, 6 years old. I started with soccer and basketball. But after a few days, it was just basketball. I love basketball so much since I was a kid, and so I stick with it. Soccer, I just throw it out the window, and I kept playing. I love it so much. I was playing in school while I was in class. I remember my teacher. She was saying that when I was in class, I was like throwing the gum you need to raise on the all over the class, up in the air, try to imagine me shooting the ball. So, I was like, it was in my blood, I will say. And, I grew up, I started to play in a little city that I'm from, that I grew up in Montebelluna, which is near Treviso. At that time, there was Benetton Treviso, which, was dominating in Italy and was competing in EuroLeague too. And I got the chance to see, a few games over there too. I remember Marcus Gori was my favorite player. And I vividly remember like the first time I went there, and like get so much love it. Like I want to be like a professional basketball player too. When a kid, when you see like face to face, like some pros, like it does something to you. It lighten a spark, and I think it did it to me too when I was young. Really young, lighted a spark. I'm like, okay, I wanna be a basketball player too. So I played in my little town until I was 14. Then I was fortunate, lucky enough, at the early age to be called to Reyer Venezia, which was a team that now is in first division Euro Cup team. Back in the day, they were in second division, so they were still not like a big team like right now. But they were like the beginning to start to become a good team. And they wanted me to go there. It was the first year. It was my last year of middle school, so I was doing back and forth like 14, 15. It was. I don't want to say it was hard, because maybe like logistically, going to another place, go school, and then immediately take the train 1 hour, 50 minutes to go to Venice, mainland Venice, and then walk out the 20 minutes to go to practice almost like 3, 4 times a week, plus the game. It was logistically challenging, but for me, it was beautiful. I was playing at the higher level than I was before. And I love, when you're a kid, you don't see like hard things, when if you do something you love, you do it. Of course, you sacrifice because I was away more time for my family, and I have no time to do anything else with friends. But for me, it was, was in a way I didn't know at the time, but I was, living my dream. And so I did the first year like that, and then from the next year, I went. I actually lived there in Mestre, which is like the mainland of Venice, and then that's like I would say that I really start like practically like okay, I can really work toward becoming a professional basketball player. I can do it as a job. I
So
did.
how old were you at that time? Maybe 16, 17 or 16?
So I was under 14. I was 15. 15.
15?
When I moved, I was 14. The year before was 14. Yeah, U14, and the year after was U15. And yeah, it was first year of high school. It was that one. Okay, that one was tough. It was challenging. Like actually living away from home. That one was tough. Because it's different routine. You don't have a mom that does everything for you. You build different routine you're used to, to something, and it is for sure disrupted immediately. And of course I'm a kid. I'm naive. I think I know everything, but I'm a kid. So it was challenging the first year. I struggled in school for sure the first year, but in basketball it was going like everything was going great. You know what I'm saying? Because it was still higher competition, but I was still like probably one of the best players on the team. And I started to get noticed also from like nationally, I would say. And from there too, I started to do all like the youth national team. And from the year after, I went to U16 with a national team. I did the European Championship. It was amazing to do to play at that level. There is a lot play against a lot of players that now plays in EuroLeague. One of them was, of course, Sasha Vezenko, who was like every year that I play European Championship was like the leading scorer, and it's still like right now. And then I grew up even more. And I was still sticky. I was playing with the older dudes in Venice, and that helped me, shape me. I was playing, lower division, but with the pro team, like not pro team, like first division team, but like lower league, like fourth, fifth division. And that, I was playing against men. Maybe the talent was there, but the physicality was something different compared to youth team. And that helped me. That all of that like helped me a lot to grow as a player. And then my last year of youth team, I was the first year, no, but the second year, like the last year of my youth team, I was like I was stable with the first division, and I actually like play some like good minutes. I scored some especially when Zare Markowski came as a head coach of the team of the first division team, where they were in first division. I remember I had a chance to get on the court to play some real professional games, and it was amazing. I was not like quote unquote professional, but I was still like a young player. But I was, when you put you in, like you think you can make it, because I was actually playing like good minutes. I remember I had a good game in Reggio Emilia where I had 8 points. Started there, and you want me to, play defense on the point guard Cinciarini, who was in the national team too. So it's at that time, like I was like, that was the goal, and I think I was getting closer and closer,
So,
and
so,
then
let me stop you for a second, because
yeah, well,
it's very interesting right here when you talk about, for example, your development as a young player, and
yes,
how everything was actually kind of rolling, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be
mm,
perfect, but you show potential. People believed in you.
yeah,
You had opportunities to step on the court, to eventually have minutes, and to keep believing in into your future. that's not always the case for many youth, players who are actually
True.
struggling because they might not have the minutes, they might not have people believing in them. Obviously you might have athleticism at a younger age that maybe many don't have, and that may be helping in some way to be able to, like you said, fight the difference between being a young player to being an adult, because there is a step, like you said, right? But I wanted to ask you, when you said, for example, there were several things in the way that you are sacrificing yourself, from taking the train for so long, from being away from home, from living alone and everything else. And like you said, we don't realize those, because when we love something so much, it's not a sacrifice, right? It's our dream. Like that's the words that those are the words that you use, right? And that happens a lot again for young basketball players. And I know some right now we're still doing the same thing that you did. I left myself when I was 18 to US from France. So again, at a time where internet was, it was 2001 when I left. Internet was just the beginning. So it was definitely a different story to be able to reach out to your friends, to your family, etc. And I wanted to ask you if you felt like at some point, anytime along the way, did you feel it was challenging for you to find the motivation? Did you have any episodes in your career where you felt like you kind of lost that sense of motivation because of all the sacrifices that you might have been doing, and because of the routine and the challenges, the adversity that you're facing? Did you at some point meet any kind of situation where you felt like questioning yourself, questioning your passion, questioning, in your career so far, or not?
I'm gonna lie to you. I would say growing up, no, absolutely not, because it was the dream. I was chasing my dream, and especially when you're kids, you don't have a lot of responsibility. I'm a kid, I was not a parent. I didn't have bills to pay and everything. So I was just, my mind was just focused. Should have been also school, which, but it was basketball for me. And so I would say I didn't felt at that time the sacrifice. Like there were sacrifices, but in that moment, there were like, I didn't felt there were sacrifices. Like later on, like I understand that those were sacrifices. I was not doing what a regular kid was doing at my age, because I was not going out with my friends rarely. I was going by the time I was like 15, 16, I was practicing basically on average 6 times a week, so basically one day off, maybe a week. So, I was doing basically a job, but it was something that it would make me become, hopefully, because, there's never a guarantee, a basketball player. But then along the way, you grow up. Now I have a wife and kids, and even like just my parents, being away from them even more now, and missing. At the time I was missing birthday, missing events, missing, I don't know, weddings. It was not like a big deal, but like now that I'm getting older, I'm seeing like, missing that is kind of heavy now. Like it's like I still don't lose the passion. Don't get me wrong, but it's harder now to like not think about it. It's harder than before. Before I was not thinking about it. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wow.
So let me challenge one thought a little bit about this, because we have kind of a thought that's a little bit challenging in the way that on one side you are aware of the sacrifices that you're making, and of the events that you're missing, the birthdays, the eventually the weddings, or any other family meetings that you would like to eventually be there. On the other side, how much do you take the time to be grateful and appreciate the opportunity that you have to be playing? And we all know that athletes play for a certain time in their life, and regardless, even if you stop playing at 40 years old, it's still very early usually as a human being. So how much do you manage to appreciate the opportunity that you gave yourself, that you earned from those sacrifices, from that hard work, And do you remind yourself of those things when you feel like, ah, man, I would have liked to be the, with my family in the moment?
That's a good question. Um, how do I manage? I know that I would say like more like towards those years compared to like even when I was younger, I was still like beginning of my professional career, like when I come back from college and everything, I was still like young, kind of dumb in the sense of like not dumb, but like naive, like because like the more I grew up, the more like I'm here and I'm, still playing EuroLeague, which is what I was, dreaming with the NBA. But like this being here is not for granted. I assumed in my head, when I was a kid that I was getting there, I worked, it takes some times, but eventually I got there. But it couldn't be easy, like I couldn't not make it. I could have easily, have an injury or simply not being good enough or simply not having the opportunity and simply just my talent not be good enough to play at a certain level that I'm right now. Now I realize that like I don't have to take where I am and also what I did for granted because where I am, first of all, I'm at a great spot. I play EuroLeague, national team, and this is all I work for and this is all I dream for. But not everybody gets to this level. And I always believed that I was gonna get it, but you gotta be a little bit like in a way, in a healthy way of delusional to be here. Like, I didn't make the NBA, but still EuroLeague, still national team, like not everybody makes it and not make everybody makes it in a consistent way.
Right.
So who are you to say, okay, maybe I was good, but I wasn't like super talented European and everything like that. But who are you to say that, oh, I'm going to play EuroLeague. Oh, I'm going to play national team for sure. Like you got to have some type of like, I would say confidence, less healthy delusion that you can make it because I feel like if not, like it's not going to come itself. You got to like find it. And that's why like more and more like I appreciate more where I am and like I'm more I would say the word content in like I know that some people might say like content is like don't go like settle, but I don't, content and settle is different for me. Content is no matter the outcome, no matter where you are happy with yourself.
Right.
Settle is just like no, I'm good where I am. I'm not going to try hard. So I'm still like I'm getting more and more content of whatever I am, whatever situation. Of course, like I am where I wanted to be, so I'm more than content, happy. But even like when the things don't go my way, or I have a bad game, or the situation is not going my way, I'm still like reminding myself, like, look how far you made it. And in a sense of like sacrifices, now is getting hard. Like now I know it's my job, it's part of the job. When if you have a game, 7 days, you can't say, oh, I have a wedding. Oh, it's my son's birthday. I can't make it. So like I know that is, I'm older than I know that, but it's, the more you grow, the more like, you start to, you have responsibility to my family, to my wife, and around my cousins, my brothers, and everything are growing up, and people like having kids, and people start to getting married, and you grow up, you wanted to be part of the stuff like that. Even just missing your kid's birthday, it's tough, but
Right.
it's the life that we chose. You can't like it's hard, but if I decided to do this sport, so you have to like compartmentalize it, and it's something that I would say I grew up doing there. Compartmental. I don't even know how to say that word, but I don't know.
No worries. All good.
Compartmentalize, and yeah, I think in a I don't know if it's a good way or bad way, but I think I've been good to that, to compartmentalize stuff. And so that's why I keep going. But that's
And
one
so
thing.
like when you talk about this, like I had a few questions. Like for example, we might get to it like right after about who you are on the court and off the court. But before getting into this, what you're saying right now, how about the importance of the support that you have in your family, with the people around you? Are you open to eventually talk a little bit about your partner, your wife, or whoever is around you and support you and
Yeah.
know that you guys make it work, like you say, in those moments?
Yes, yes, yeah. I always had great support from the beginning. I would say when I was in Rayer, for sure, we had like it was like a little bond family with my teammates, with the coaches and everything. So that was good. But of course, my family, my mom's like since growing up, we're really like us like united as a family. My dad always came to every game. Basically, my mom always, calling me, always, we are believers too, always putting in prayers and everything. So we have all like their presence and they're always brought it with me, even when all I've been away, I always felt, their presence because they always been there, like in the sense of like showing up and
Yeah.
everything. So, and that's the base as from since I was a kid. And, even then when I went to college too, that's I created my little community, and also that's where I met my wife. My wife, she's American, and she's she knows me since I was 20, 21. And of course, she doesn't, at the beginning, especially, she was, just a regular. She's a regular too. She doesn't play sports and anything. And so she didn't understand, of course, what it meant to me, basketball and all it takes to, get becoming a professional and all the sacrifices, and so like even just like when I finished school I was like, I'm going back to Italy to play pro. She was like, wait, why? Like, go find like a job, finish graduate. She like couldn't understand like why you going back to Italy, like why you to play sport? Like you got a good degree, like go find a job, like everybody else. But you know, and like after a while, living, becoming, like a basketball girlfriend and then eventually a basketball wife, she understand. Probably not never like fully, because I think you need to live it fully. But
Right,
she
right.
she fully she understands. She saw the sacrifice that I make, and it's still like in some part hard because like we still now we have kids and she it's like I feel like how in a way like guilty because I want to be present. I want to be hands-on husband. I want hands-on parent, of my two kids. But it's the nature of the job that it makes you self-centered because everything is around basketball.
And,
When
go ahead, finish. I'll let you finish. Then I have a question, please.
because it's like all your schedule is all around the games, the practice,
Right.
and then you schedule all year long everything around that. And so it's like, and even just like, you can just, I mean, now it's better because after the game I can like, turn the switch on like dead mode now. But like some like it's tough, when after a tough game that you play into your head and
Right.
while you are with your
You
family,
bring the
you
game
kind of
home.
zone out
Right.
and you're like, what are you thinking about? You're like, yeah, oh, and you gotta catch it back because it's like, it's consumed you,
Yeah.
it's in a good way,
But I mean,
that's
it's
really
pretty
cool.
human and common, like a lot of people who can work regular jobs, they also bring their job at home from time to time. The
Yeah,
thing is, like
yeah,
we discussed, also the thing with basketball is that there is so much passion that it multiplies eventually that impact of bringing it home. You play eventually late as well, so it's closer to the night, more adrenaline
yeah,
and things. So
yeah.
in that way, it's challenging for sure. I had a question about you as a player on the court and you as a
Mhm.
person off the court. You said that
Yeah,
you learn
absolutely.
how to detach yourself from eventually
Yes.
feeling those emotions. I would like you to tell me because um, eventually you can tell people about listeners about your role. You're not a 20 points, 15 rebounds guy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
you're more of a role player, ready to go
Yeah.
and fight and be like whatever needs whatever the team needs from you, you go and get it. So how do you go from one identity as a basketball player, and then understanding your role and being, once again, like you explained, demanding on some things, to going back to a family life of the court and being the person that your family needs to be for you guys
Exactly.
to be well grounded,
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's I think you grow and you understand, the priority and the balance, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that basketball has been, I would say unfortunately, because I don't think it's in a way is a good way, but unfortunately basketball has most of my life has been still is, I don't know. I don't know if it still is or not. It's still like the most important thing in my life. I would say not now, but it always kind of be, always be. Not just because of, because it takes a lot of me, but because, in my head it's like, it's different. Like I eat, sleep, breathe basketball, and every decision I make is always like because of basketball. I gotta go to sleep early. I cannot stay that late. If I drink, it's gonna always affect. Like always, what I eat is gonna affect me. How my mood is gonna affect me for the basketball. And so I think is that. And then like I think I grew up and also like I'm how can I say, like I'm a strong belief, Christian beliefs too, and that's one helped me to like to understand really who I am as a person. And so I feel like I kind of became a shift in be like be a basketball player, a shift between okay, I'll be about being a basketball player and play and play basketball as a living. There we go. The difference, because if I say I am a basketball player, I would say that's my identity. But if I say I play basketball for a living, it's different. And that's what I do. I play basketball for a living, but basketball is not what define me. You know what I'm saying? And it took me a while to understand that, because also like if you take away basketball, who I am, and it is
So
like now it's easier to answer, but
is that
you
work
know,
that you've done with a mental performance coach,
I
whoever,
would
or
say, I would
psychologist,
say,
or you figure it
I
out by
would
yourself?
say, no, this one is more I figure out by myself. Like this one, figure out by myself. But we also spoke about it with my mental coach. This one we spoke
Okay.
about with mental coach. But
And
this
to
was more
me,
like
and
it's more like a figure out by myself, I would say.
and you see, it's challenging because, again, I don't think there is just right or wrong about those situations. I actually hear what you're saying. I would challenge you a little bit in the way
Mm,
that when you say, and respectfully, right? I'm not here to tell you
yeah.
anything like, or anything like, it's your thinking, your beliefs. It's completely fine. I would just challenge the thought of saying that that's not who you are. That's just what you do. Um, I,
Okay.
I I always challenge the players I work with to make
Mm,
sure that they um, separate themselves, like you say, from being the competitor. And to
mm,
usually, I'm very lucky to work with nice guys, polite guys, respectful guys.
yeah.
But if you're respectful, if you're too much of a nice guy, you cannot be a high level competitor. You cannot win your duels. You're not hungry enough. You know what I mean, right? So, what I'm saying is, it's not because you got to be a top level competitor who's really hungry and who needs to dominate, so therefore needs to go harder than the other guy, that you cannot embrace that. That can be one part of you, which doesn't
Mm-hmm,
mean that the other part of you cannot live as well, but you can be
mm-hmm,
proud of so being the competitor that you are, because like you
mm-hmm,
said earlier, it's really such a small percentage. What stops you, like we talked about appreciation earlier, what stops you from being proud of what you do and being committed to it like you already are? But I'm saying emotionally and spiritually, like you said, being, hey, when I'm switching into this mode, this is who I am, and I'm going 100%. And eventually develop, we talk in, psychology, eventually by using the alter ego and becoming,
mm.
somebody as a superhero when you're a
I
kid or
think that
whatever,
is really,
and being
yeah.
the best version of yourself as a competitor when you step on the court. And then when you go back off the court, like you said earlier, switch into, all right, now I'm the dad, I'm the husband, I'm the composed guy who's like
Mm-hmm,
relaxed. And I believe where my challenging thought was I believe you can be both, and that it's okay. You know, and you don't have to just minimize the idea of saying it's just my job, because eventually you might lose the appreciation of all the work that you've done. You might lose the everything that you discuss about the emotions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not disagreeing, and that's not my job, my place to be to tell you how you would feel. I'm just saying that both of them are eventually possible also to, you know, to appreciate.
No, yeah, I definitely agree that, you know, both of them like can live together. Absolutely. It's just like, I think for me, when I was like more like younger, and I would say younger, just a few years ago, not like just 60, but I would say just a few years ago. Like for me, basketball was everything, you know. Like it's I don't want to say it's not now because it still is, but it's like in a different way. Like I would feel like that I don't know. I feel like I'm, you know, and that's because of the outside, you know, when I become, especially when I got married and when I um, got kids, that, you know, of course, it's kind of like, you know, grow like a separate compartment that you need to take care of, you know,
Of course.
and that's why, like, you know, like you said, probably you need to like be able to navigate both without sacrificing.
And don't get
Because at
me
the end of
wrong,
the day, it's my job. It is my job, but I'm trying to get the like. I'm a competitor. I'm trying to win games. I'm trying to win EuroLeague. So I can't lose this
of course,
aggressiveness, healthy aggressiveness. You know, the dog, how some people will say. You know, because
that's
what make me here. You know, because in this job that we have is, you know, eat or be eaten. You know, it's, you know, sometimes I feel bad saying, especially like at the younger generation, that, you know, you have to have some type of aggression, because if not, like, somebody else is gonna kick you, somebody else gonna get your job, but it is what it is, you know. And
no, I completely agree, and that's why I had written this down too, like about you becoming a parent. Did it change you? We have SGA talking, you know, about how becoming a parent helped him, you know, to when you get off the court, all right, you really understand what truly matters. So it goes a little bit hand in hand with
yes,
what we're talking about, right?
absolutely.
I'm a father of two as well. I'm passionate. I'm not playing, obviously, but I'm completely committed to basketball as well. So, of course, it's our passion. Of course, it's part of our jobs, like you said. But then we know what's more important, right? Our families, our loved ones are obviously more important than anything else. And how do you feel like becoming a parent eventually helped you evolve, mature, or change perspective? You started talking eventually a little bit about it, but what can
Yes, it changed a lot, my perspective. It changed a lot, you know. You know, it just, I think that's what happened to a lot of people. That's what everybody's saying. But for me, I would say like I was, you know, explaining before, you know, I was starting to get, you know, when like grow responsibility outside of the court. And that's why also like it puts everything else in a different perspective, a different, you know, now you have, you know, a kid, a family that you need to take care of, and you need to put them first, you know. And then and you know, and you start to like you know, be more introspective and understanding, like think about like, okay, what's matter, like how can I do this, how can I do that, how can I also, but at the same time like do my job at the right way, you know, because at the end of the day, like yes, I have to put my family first, but you know, I still want to do basketball at the highest level. And so I think it make me becoming a parent make me also a better basketball player, because I would say because it make me more responsible as a person, because I had to, in a way, if I want to be, you know, a present and intentional father. Like you understand, like you only have so many hours. Time is probably the most precious currency that we have. Like that's why I realized it, because you cannot do everything. So you need to be efficient with your time. You need to efficient at home, and you need to be efficient at my work.
Right.
And that's what I think it makes me better, because I understand, like, you know, before I was like going hard on everything, giving my maximum, you know. But now it's more like instead to like work hard, I was like, I'm still working hard, but smart. I would say like I have the windows that I have to work. sometimes I would like try to kill myself, like, I gotta work 1 hour before shoot. I gotta make this type of shot after practice and stuff like that. But now, like, of course, now I don't have enough time. But also inside of me, I know that I have this voice that said, "No, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. You gotta do this. You gotta do this because if not, you're slacking." But like, you gotta listen to that, but you also be smart on that because, like, okay, now what I can do, something that I can do every single day, that I can be efficient. It has to be 30 minutes. It can be 15, 20 minutes every day. Maybe also like I'm becoming a better listen to my own body. Sometimes you need to stop. Sometimes you need to maybe like rest in a sense of like active rest, maybe like stretching more, maybe take care better of your body and stuff like that. So I think I became smarter in that thing. Like I think I became more efficient with my time with that. And then also I feel like I kind of like became more aware that I have also what we do as players. I would say I don't want to speak about also other uh, people that played like part of the game. I would say just players because I'm a player, so I cannot speak about coaches, trainers, and stuff like that. But as a basketball players, I feel like we are privileged in what we do. We earn that privilege by working hard because no matter who you are, to get there and to stay there, you are working hard, and so we earn this privilege to be there. But at the same time, I feel like we have a responsibility toward others because of our platform, because there's people that look up to us, especially the younger generation, but also like older people, the sponsor, and we have this platform, whether we like it or not. We have this platform that I feel like we have a responsibility to use it in the right way to teach positive things. And I think I started to realize it more and more and more and more. The more I'm older, the more like, you know, especially now, of course, my kids are still young. They're still maybe not realizing, but, the younger generation, the people that, text you and look at you and respect you, that you have like a responsibility of using the game to better in a way the world. And we can do it by only just by just by our own action. And I feel like, always every day I try to learn and use an opportunity to learn and grow. I think every day is an opportunity, no matter if it's a good day or a bad day, is an opportunity to learn and grow. I think that I can every day with the people that I work with, I can show positivity. I can treat them with respect, no matter what. I can respect the people that are in authority, so the coaches, the GMs, the front office, the president, by showing respect to them. I is a way to like do that. And for me, giving your all on the court is a form of respect because I think that no matter if you're up 20 or down 50, I think for me it's a responsibility to myself, to the team, and in a way also to the opponent to give my best every single time. So that's why like I learn and like I try to every single time
I'm smiling
to
when you
do
say
that.
this because this is exactly what I tell players I work with as well. When I ask them, what do you feel? How can you show respect on the basketball court? And so they're eventually going to say a few things and they're going to say, like, eventually, yeah, I'm going to pick up the guy who's falling, or I'm going to be nice
Yeah,
with the guy. And I explain, look, respect is giving 100%. And like you said,
exactly.
you respect the opponent because if you need to kick his ass as a competitor, that's
Yes,
that's your best version that you're giving. It's not like a respect.
exactly.
You're giving him your best version so that he can eventually learn from it and get better. And the second sign of respect, source of respect, like you say, is towards yourself because you respect yourself about all the work that you put in. And so I feel like I'm very happy to hear you say this because I agree
Yeah,
a lot with it, and I think it's really, really something that's a message that should be carried away to many people. It's very easy to understand, and yet sometimes we forget with the routine, or we can get carried away. And this is really
yes,
something
absolutely,
to put
absolutely.
the axis on. I would like to ask you. You said that you work with a mental coach. Can you
Yes.
explain to us why you started working with a mental coach? Was it
Okay.
because I have different people reaching out to me, for example? We have people who feel like they're in a critical situation they want to work in. Other people are almost in a critical situation. They want to solve a problem. And now we have more and more people who are reaching out because they understand that working with a mental performance coach is about optimizing performance and developing and growing. So what was your situation when you started working with a mental performance coach?
So it all started okay, let's say first that I would say every year, I'm an open-minded person. So I always welcome every idea. I always challenge myself every year about something that can help me as a basketball player, but also as a person, as human being. So, and I think that in the aspect of the game, there is a lot of things that can help you. And I would say not alone everything, other more than others, but everything can help you. There's all piece of the puzzle that can help you become the best version of yourself. So for me, it all started during COVID. And so there was this mental coach that he texted me through, at the time was either Facebook or Instagram. And I was, at that time there was, I would say now I feel like every year is growing. But it was still like something like really not super popular.
Yeah.
So I would say that I was neither like, oh yeah, I want to do it, but neither like, nah, I don't want. I was like, I mean, I don't know. Let's talk about it more. So we spoke about it, on the phone. Explained to it. He also was a person like he lives like near me. So, but at that time I was still like COVID and everything. So we were just calling himself. And so I was like, okay, I didn't have any problems or any like things that I wanted to like, I have to reach out to him, but it was just to happen like that. So I was like, why not? Why not?
Give it a try.
Give it a try. Yeah, without pressure. Without pressure. I didn't say like, oh no, I have to have this result by that and then. No, I think with open minded, and I think for myself it was the better way to do it, because I believe that goals are important, but it's not, but it's the more important like the journey, it's more important like what you learn to get to the result, because at the end of the day the result, you can make it or not, you cannot control it, but the things that you can get toward the result, those are more or less more you can control.
Right.
So I started with that, with open minded. I was in Treviso. And so that year I was in Treviso. Yeah, the first year after I was in Treviso. So I was also meeting in person with him, because I'm from near Treviso. And so we were meeting in person. And I would say it, at that time, like I would say the first 2-3 years, I didn't realize how he helped me. I didn't realize. I was like, I mean, yeah, it's just part of training. You play physically, you train on the court tactically, and it's also like part of you train. You don't even like when you lift, you say, or like when you play, or like you are getting better, but you don't like maybe like you don't see it until like maybe years later. You're like, wow, I made some improvement, but like,
right.
But I feel like the steps that I made toward my career, post playing Treviso, the first year I have a bigger role, but of course playing on a team that was mid-low level. Then the second year we qualified for Champions League, and having a bigger role, maybe the team got even better, but more expectation after the year before that we did good. Then after that, I had good years, so I had a chance to play for a better team in Brescia, who was always like competing for the first, playoff spots and stuff like that. And, changing also my role, becoming more like a bench, like starting from the bench instead to like starting I was in Treviso. And then, playing Eurocup also like more stable, where, every year you play Eurocup instead of Champions League, you need to qualify. And then compete at the highest level, with Brescia, we made all the time the playoffs, and understanding the role. And then from there, winning the cup in Brescia, and then had a chance to play EuroLeague. I would say that toward my fourth year with him, so 2 years in in Treviso, 1 year in Brescia, and the second year in Brescia, I started to like look like you said before, like realize like look like and appreciate it more like where I am and look the work that I did before. And I'm like, this thing is actually helping me. I didn't realize in the moment because I'm so locked in, I'm doing whatever he tell me, and we analyze it, we're talking aloud, I'm expressing, because I feel like one thing that I was not doing beforehand, I was like, I keep everything inside. And having the chance to speak about it, and then even but just sometimes I just speak, but like I don't even let him like finish the talk, and I just come up with the answers that I needed, but just let it out.
Yeah.
Of course, also you feel good because you feel like you took a rock out of yourself, but also like you get all the ideas out of your head and you speak about it, you analyze and you kind of like put all the things together and you kind of like understand it and stuff like that. And I think I realized that more, and then things are growing. But like it's been I would say it's been a journey. It always every year changes because of course the demands is different. EuroLeague, maybe but now with EuroLeague we speak less and things change. And so
And how often did you usually meet with your mental coach?
so now I would say once every 2 weeks. I mean,
Okay.
of course,
And
we
before
text
that,
every time, but like having like an actual meeting, let's say
the,
like once
the,
a week, once every 2 weeks. Yeah,
okay, and the first 4 years, how often were you meeting with him?
I would say the first 4 years was like once a week, probably.
Okay.
I would say it was more often.
Right.
I would say
And you
yes,
see, like, what I want you, because it's good right now. We're talking, we're not working together. So to me, it's interesting for you to say how you working, and the way that I work with players, the same. The importance for the listeners who are listening right now, it's really about understanding the consistency into the job that has to be done. I always say to people who want to discuss this topic with me, it's not about a conversation. A conversation is very easy to be understood by anyone who understands basketball or sports or life. But it's really about mastering those beliefs until you're able to anticipate situations, until you're able to go through those situations and therefore use whatever consistent conversation that you develop, you discuss, and tools you use, so that at some point it's not just throwing tools or just discussing something. It's yes, sometimes it's very important, like you said, to get something out of your body, to let it out.
yeah,
And for this, you need to develop trust. So you need to see someone
yes.
regularly. If you
I
don't
will
have the
say yes,
trust, you know what I mean? Like without the trust, you can say all you want. It's pointless, right? So
yes,
being able to open up and have players the same way that you just say, like tell me, since we started working together, how they became so much better communicators, like how
yes,
they
exactly,
they, they
exactly,
mature and everything else.
exactly.
And I think that's where again, a mental performance coach is someone who's another tool in the box, like another, he's a facilitator, but he's not just a magician. He's someone who's here to help you express yourself, become the best version of yourself, and I always say also like both support you when you need it, but also challenge you according to your own standards. You know what I
Yes,
mean? And so that's why that trust is so important. I'm very happy of what you're sharing right now, because I believe it's definitely not theoretical thoughts about whoever thinks about whatever. No, it's really practical ideas of what you've been going through with your experience doing that job. And same, I can relate a lot to what I do with the players I work with. So I appreciate that. I had another topic I would like to address, if you're cool
yeah,
with it. Uh,
yeah,
I am French, like and my wife is
yeah,
Lithuanian. We have two kids. They're both French and Lithuanian.
yes,
You were born in Italy from
yes,
a Congolese family, if I'm correct.
exactly, yes,
And
yes,
you told me earlier that you are married now to an American. So
yes.
my question is, um, how do you manage the fact that you have been used to sharing cultures, mixing
Mm,
cultures from the way that you were born in Italy, that you understood the family, and at home you might have been more Congolese at the time, and now that
yeah.
you do the same as an adult, being married to, again, being Italian Congolese, to married to an American. And did you ever feel like it was a struggle for you growing up in terms of who you were? Or and then did you take it as I know who I am now and I appreciate it even more? What's the situation with that?
Okay, that's a good question. That's a good question. That's a good question.
Thank
I
you.
mean, that's a good question. I would say, okay, let's start from, like I said before, I'm a really open-minded person. So for me, like I said, like it's easy for me to, and also adaptable. So
Right.
for me, it's easy. I feel like I have a good quality to adapt to a lot of situation. Even just speaking different languages and also understanding that, different people, different culture have different ideas. It doesn't make, as I said, they are right. It just, or my idea is right or their idea is right. It just how they're raised and how they do things. And so I am understanding that the world is different. And so that's the first thing I realized. The first time I realized was I was when I went to US after Venice. That it was not just a language change, but it was a completely different culture. It's just the way the people walk, the way the people look, the way the people, how the people speak. You
Yeah.
have different part of, even just US is just different
Right,
with
of
its
course.
own country. But I would say that beginning me, I always, my family, I was born and raised in Italian. I'm an Italian, but my family is Congolese, and we always, get raised with Congolese culture, speaking Lingala. That's one language that I speak with my parents. Mostly, I was speaking Italian, but we were speaking also French and Lingala, and also I had a lot of family members and also friends, you say, like family friends that are Congolese, like all around Italy. And so I have my aunt, my cousins, and also extended cousin that in African culture, even if it's not blood cousin, is your cousin, they call it cousin. And so I had a lot of those, like, and so we create a little community, Congolese community. Like, so I have those roots, of Congolese. And so I also went when I was a kid. I don't remember because I was only 3 years old. But I went there too. And so I also have parents in some family members in France. So when I was young, all of us we were going for like weeks or even months in France. So that's why I learned, to speak French. And that's one that it sticks with me. It's part of who I am too. And of course, growing up in Italy with a totally different culture than Congolese, you know, it's also shaped me who I am. Like I said, like the more I grew up, more I understand that like I am my own person. I have Congolese root, but also I'm Italian. But I'm also, you know, I lived in the US, so I picked up also some part of the US. I have my wife that she's American. My kids are, actually Americans and Italian and Congolese because, the blood, DNA, you
Of course.
can get it away, you know what I'm saying? And so, my kid speaks, I mean, my older daughter speaks both Italian and English, and later on we're trying to add more languages. So I
Right.
understand that where you grew up and that's thing that you do during your life, it shapes who you are, and I always think like I am my own person, and I see also like a difference between me and my friend, my brothers and my parents. I am different than them in the sense that they cannot relate with me in the sense that they didn't grow up in Italy. They grew up in Congo. They lived in Italy, so I cannot understand also like how them they moved
Yeah.
and
Different
they
life,
migrate
different
the
experience.
immigrants. I can never understand that. I know it's hard, and I appreciate even more
Of
now
course.
that I'm grew up like because they had to like leave their own country and totally immerse to a new country
Right.
and build a family. And that's why I also appreciate more, but also make me understand that also them they had to make their own journey to become who they are now, and now also to have to make my own journey. So I would say that the more I grew up, the more comfortable I became on myself and understanding that I am, in a way, a melting pot of all the places that I've been. You know, I'm not the same as my wife because I'm not American. I'm also Italian, but I can understand the American culture, you know, and everything. But I'm not fully, because I'm not grew up in the US, but I can grab stuff. And I'm saying, like, when you learn a language, and I read it in a book, you don't only learn a language, you learn a culture. You know, you learn, if you learn French and you go to France, you pick up little stuff that it's not just about the language, just like a cultural thing over there. And the same thing in English. And it will be different in English, is different than if you learn English in Australia, in England, or in the US.
Right.
It's totally because the culture that you live that it shapes you too. So I think that's what I am. I'm a I'm a proud Italian with African blood, but you know I love US. I love the American culture. I think it's amazing. You know, I think sometimes they can be a little arrogant. They think they know they're the best and everything. But hey, but it's just part of who they are. So I love everybody. I think I would never take away any experience that I did because it's who I am, and I think to finish. I would say I'm becoming more comfortable who I am in myself, and sometimes like I don't know if you experience it, but like it, when you do different things than your like the people, even just your wife, even your brothers, your family, it might go against what they believe. I don't know if I can explain. Maybe they might see you as different because abide to a certain type of rules that they grew up with or they're used to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, and that can be, I don't say conflict, but like can rub off sometime. And you grew up and you just need to understand that it's part of who you are. The experience that you do shape who I am, and who you are as a person, but who I am personally. And I think I started to more and more accepting who I am more, and regardless of what other people think.
And that's big. That's big. And you see another aspect that I work with players. Usually it's more about on the court, but right now you also talked about off the court. It's about when are you going to when do you think you're going to be on top of your game, not just on the court, but in terms of understanding who you are, mastering, your ability to process with everything. And that's what you discuss right here about off the court. I would like to finish our episode on the next step of your career, Milano.
Yeah.
What could we wish you for Milano? What are your objectives? How do you feel this new challenge ahead of in your journey is going to, what direction is it going towards?
Me, I'm really excited for sure for the future. I'm excited that I have the chance to still compete in the EuroLeague and still compete at the highest level in Italy to win, when you're in Milan in Italy, you expect to win basically everything. And I love it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I love it. Like, that's another thing. It's just like I always wanted to win a championship, regardless of what team I've been. Even when I was in interviews, I still deep down believe, we can win it all. When I was in Brescia, even more. But I feel like it's more that's more in a European thing than an American thing. It's just like if you say, and even if you are the favorite, no matter if you're the favorite or not, if you just say, "Oh, I want to win the championship, that's my goal," and everything, you seem like, "Oh, no, no, you don't have to say that. You just have to like keep, just we want to go to the playoff and see what happens." You gotta say we want to first not get relegated and then see what happened. But by myself, I was like, nah, I want to say I want to win the championship. So it's like, in a way, like when I went to Virtus, I was like, oh, finally I can say, oh, I want to win the championship. And nobody's going to be like, no, don't say that. Because here, You want to win the championship. Maybe you cannot say you're gonna win EuroLeague. They're gonna be like, wait. But at least like And so it's like even now in Milan, it's like, yeah, I want to win the championship. I want to win Coppa Italia. I want to win every trophy that I get there. And I'm like, oh. And like for some people it's like, no, it's like a pressure. To me, it's like a relief in a way. I'm like, dang, finally I can say it. Really, and nobody's gonna like, you're crazy. Maybe they might say arrogant, okay, but at least like the whole environment is weird. So, but at the same time, like also competing in EuroLeague. I mean, I have a dream to win the EuroLeague, or like, or at least compete to win the EuroLeague. You know, go to the Final Four at least. And I think Milan gives me the best chance. Of course, you know there is probably a lot of teams that have more chance to do that, but I take my chances here with Milan, of course. And you know, I'm excited to compete every day, to fight, just to fight to get minutes is going to be tough. You know, I'm not going to lie. There's going to be we are a 15-team roster. We play 12. You know, yes, we are 6 Italians, so I might have guaranteed spot in the league. But in EuroLeague, I have to fight for just be on the team, be on every single day. So I'm excited for the challenge. You know, I'm excited for the team. I think we have like a really hardworking and hard-nosed players, and I think we can make good impact in EuroLeague, and you know, hopefully we get success also in EuroLeague, and of course, I would like to continue to maybe like dominate in the Italian Championship. You know, it's hard, even though probably we're always going to be the favorites. It doesn't mean anything. You know,
Of course.
remember I won with Virtus, where always Milan and Virtus always like competing for the championship, but like maybe like the second year, the year past, we was always like me and us and I see how hard it is to repeat it. And so no matter what, like even like it made me more appreciate more like the wins after you lose, and made me more and also get the heads off too, like in like the year, for example, Messina that they won the 3 championships in a row, even though they had the best roster, but you still like winning is hard, but winning consistently and in a row it's even harder because I'm a competitor. If I lose, I want to beat you even more. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Of
like
course.
you
Everybody's
you
getting
gotta
ready.
get when you got the best chance, the best chance for everybody, and that's what we had last year in the playoff. Like I remember we were for number 1 seed, defending champions. Game 5, we were down 2-1 in the quarterfinals against Trento, and we
I remember.
suffered to get out.
I was
And
following.
Venice, we kicked them out last year in big fashion, but this year they kicked us out. You know, they were like screaming like after they beat us, like they won the championship because of
Yeah.
course it's like that. So I see like how it's hard to win. So that's what like I'm excited to maybe like also build this new because with Poeta and everything, this type of player. Build like a culture, a new culture, like greedy and play hard, fighting team
Yeah.
in Milan, and I hope that we can make noise in the EuroLeague. And the dream is always Final Four and winning. So that's
Well,
what I hope for in these few years.
Nicola, I think if everybody has the same mindset that you do, regardless of their playing time and showing up, being a professional, being because like we said, like developing a culture, being part of a culture is showing up every day. It's not just a
Yeah,
talk once again, it's really about showing up every day and making sure that you own that culture. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So and I believe like being in a place like Milano, it's going to be a great opportunity for you to be part of something special in Italy. And I
yeah,
wish you all the best for the season to come, both in Italy and EuroLeague. And maybe we'll cross path live
yeah.
when you come to
Maybe
Kaunas. I will come in
the
as well.
Kaunas. Yeah, absolutely. You live in Kaunas?
I live in Kaunas, yes. I live
Okay,
in
well,
Kaunas.
yeah. Then whenever
But last
go
year I was
there,
following. It
definitely.
was I had a player also in Trento, so I was following you too, and I was
Okay,
talking too. I came to Trento to watch games too. So, but I have other guys also in the EuroLeague, so
okay,
I will be following you as well. So,
okay.
Nicola, grazie mille. Thank you very much for
Grazie a te.
coming to the podcast. I'm sure you'll be very helpful. I appreciate your feedback as a
Yeah,
player, as someone who works on his mental game, on on everything that you brought. Is really a lot of rich information. So thank you for being open-minded, like you said. And
Yes.
that was awesome having you with us in the podcast. So thank you once again.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I really enjoy it. Thank you.
I appreciate it.